he was really delighted to have folks from WFMU there to talk with him. And we didn't really have a formal start to the interview. We just sat down and he just started right off talking about his favorite WFMU shows.
I listen to Trouble a lot. And then I guess in the morning, because that's in the morning, it's Clay Pigeon.
Yes.
Yeah. And this morning, well, we could talk about that, but I swear to God this happened, right? So I'm in my kitchen. My daughter stayed over last night. She makes music. She's called Stella Rose in the Dead Language. And so she's there, and my wife was there, and I put on the radio. I'm making coffee, and I just, switched the radio, and it's right there. And then suddenly, the first thing that's on is Ghosts Again. So I'm like, wait. I look at I thought someone had changed the channel or something, or maybe I'd sort of burnt a CD, and it was in one of those Bose, it's that Bose thing. And I had that moment of like, we're on the radio. I was like, and I sort of started jumping. I called out to, I said, Rosie, and she was like, what? And I was like, we're on the radio. I'm on the radio, and I got so excited.
I love that 44 years after starting your band, you still get excited to hear yourself on the radio.
That hasn't happened to me for a while, because first of all, I haven't heard myself on the radio like that for a while. But it just to be. Listen to the station I liked that I listen to, and it doesn't come in often so great. But so I found a spot, and I don't like it when anyone moves my little Bose there, radio, where it comes in pretty good. So, and I listen, if I'm sort of out on Montauk or like. Now, of course, I can go, I use my phone, and I'll just, sort of pick something, a show I want to listen to.
Right, all the archives are there.
But, I really appreciate you because, like, I came up when radio, and especially alternative radio in England, there was certain radio that when I was 13, 14, like John Peel and stuff like that, I would get into my little sleeping bag in the room that I shared with my two brothers, and I would just have my little mono radio with one little thing. And I would listen to the John Peel sessions, and it's where I first got to hear Joy Division, or Susie and the Banshees, or stuff that I would then later on go to these clubs and places to see. So it really is,
No, that was a great time for music. I was on college radio here in New York. I was on the NYU radio station in 80, 81, 82, and I was playing, all your early records and all the bands you just mentioned. And since we're on this topic, I was going to ask you this later, but since we're already talking about radio, I'm just curious, obviously you mentioned, college radio, public radio, alternative back in the 80s really helped launch your guys' career. And I'm wondering, from where you sit today, obviously you're much more well-known, you have a much bigger fan base already, but do you see anything else out there in the landscape today that kind of plays that similar role to like a WFMU or a college station would have back in when you were just getting started?
That's a good question. I wish there was. But everything, I can't keep up, you see. With, my daughter is... she knows what she's doing. It's everything with social media and the way she's like, well, this is the way people see and get information now, Dad. And look, I look at that stuff. I don't have an Instagram account. I don't do those things. I don't go on Facebook or whatever. I don't know where people have the time to find the time to do it, or brain space and all that stuff. But I'm not a total idiot, but I'm aware of it all. But I still like to, I play a record, all right, and I was lucky I found you guys because, for one thing, it's commercial free. And I know it's, I do donate to you guys too, as far as so you know, and I got a nice little package from a Sunday morning reggae show.
Oh, very nice.
Which it's we often you hear me shouting out, it's Reggae Sunday, In fact, I was away in Europe last week, and my daughter, she sent a little video film, and sent me a picture. She said, "It's Reggae Sunday, Dad.
That's sweet.
We miss you."
Aw.
Yeah, it was cute.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I think it's very important. It is to me. That you can have that span of different generations of music as well, and alternative and very abstract music like Trouble kind of often plays and takes me. I'm often, if I'm around and I'm listening, I'm SoundClouding quickly to find something new, and then I'll like explore it, and it reminds me of a little bit of how it used to be when I grew up. Word of mouth of like, hey, there's this band, or you should go check it out. They're playing this pub or whatever, or you'd go to the market and you go to the record store and there's these 45s and you wait until the guy turns around so you can get one quick and put it under your jacket, and maybe get out of there with a new 45 of someone that you've heard about, the Lurkers or X-Ray Specs or whatever. But that you have something that is unique, you found.
Yeah.
Like some treasure.
Yeah.
And so it's still like that to me. Like, that's what I like about it, and I appreciate that. But I do worry a little bit that with music especially, people don't take the time anymore. They just want it quick. They cherry pick what they want to listen to, and even with the record that we've put out, a new record, and we still make records. We make records thinking about always how are we going to get this onto the vinyl? How many sides of the vinyl do we need to have? Like, can we maximize, the sound quality if we have 3 pieces, all that kind of stuff. And how is it going to sequence?
Yeah.
How are people going to listen to this? So we still think about making a record that is going to end up... the sequencing is extremely important to us.
Is that a process that you and Martin work on together?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Probably I start doing it quite early on. Once we start, maybe we've got like 5, 6, 7 tracks kind of in shape. I start to hear how it's... you start with your anchors, of course. For this particular album, I knew that My Cosmos' Mine was going to be the setup. And I was hoping, and I know that a song that I wrote called Speak to Me was going to close the record. And that became more apparent as we were recording with the help of, a lot of help with James Ford, who produced it, and Marta Sologny, who's this amazing artist. That she's just incredible with use of tape loops and delays and
the modern
old-fashioned analog.
The modern day Frippertronics. I've seen
and
it
it's just, and to her, it's like this. We used to have to do that. In the early days, we had bits of tape everywhere that were an effect or a reverb or
right.
a drum, that you had to kind of piece together. Bits of tape everywhere. But she's a real master of this art form, because that's what it is. And so that really sort of lent itself into the song Speak to Me. And we recorded some strings for that as well at Shangri-La Studios. We spent about 5-6 days there doing strings, and then we processed that stuff. Everything always gets processed. Nothing's really normal,
right?
And so, and that's Depeche Mode. We don't really fit. We never really have, but and that's we like that.
To your credit,
radio was always we always used to hear from the record company, like, well, they don't know where to place you.
That's why WFMU is perfect.
It's not. Is it alternative? Is it mainstream? Is it this? Is it clubby? Is it pop? Is it? It's a bit of everything.
Yeah. More from Dave Gahan coming up here on WFMU.
a bit of everything, and we, you know, as bigger fans of Muddy Waters as we are of PJ Harvey, you know,
right.
Or you know, Suicide, or you know, Noi, or Kraftwerk, or you know, we were exposed to all of that.
How do you bring that into your own music? Is that something you actively think about, or is it kind of more like an osmosis sort of thing where it oozes in?
Well, I think over the years what's happened is we actually kind of, I think with this record, there's a lot of our own influences from some of our older records
right.
that have crept into the process of this record.
That makes sense.
But also, it always draws from, you know, blues and gospel and soul, and then real hard electronics too as well, and film soundtracks, and with sort of, I think it becomes all of those things come into the process, and I think we learned a lot of this listening to other things early on from Daniel Miller from Mute Records, he came into the studio when we were working. He spends about a week with us. He'll come up with some ideas. He has ideas about what we're doing. He may start playing around with some of whatever new toy he's got. He'll bring it with him into the studio and, you know, set up his little area. And he's like sort of a mad scientist kind of thing. Martin's like that too. They're like, Martin will be off over in this corner sitting on the floor with some big Euro rack. All these little synths, and you know, Marta's got her tape loops going on. James might be on a bass or something. It's a very... Quite often I'm sitting there and I'm watching this going on, and it's kind of an amazing... everyone's got a great strength.
Right.
And I think over the years, we've somehow learned... I mean, now it's just Martin and I. It's just, and it was a pretty small little team. It was just Marta and Martin and myself and James. And we did use other, like I said, the strings, and James also is like a multi-instrumentalist, so he'll play drums, bass, guitar, keyboards, piano as well. He can he's a dab hand at anything really. And Martin is also, you know, although he's more inclined to gravitate towards the synths, but if you put a guitar around his neck and plug it into an amp, he's you know, he's one of the best sort of gunslinging players still, I think. You know,
well, on stage he primarily does play guitar.
And we bounce off each other. And that, it's another aspect of Depeche Mode that it is different again. When we go on in a stage or we perform, it's different again. You know, we never really locked ourselves into some kind of box of like, this is how, you know, you got to play bass, you play drums, you do, and it's got to work together. It's always an exploration.
So we just have a minute or two left, I'm sorry to say, but I'm curious to hear from your perspective. You have the new album coming out at the end of March, toward the end of March on the 24th, Memento Mori. You start your world tour the same day. Obviously, both of these experiences now going on without Fletch in the Depeche Mode camp. Do you what's kind of your biggest expectation or hope, and maybe what's sort of your biggest fear about embarking on this tour and this album release without Fletch in the band at this point?
There's two things about that. It's always, one, you know, it's going to be a first again, and there's been a lot of firsts. If it was the first time Martin and I were sitting in the studio together for over 40 years without Fletch, that was really jarring and strange at times, and also really reflective. I mean, he found his way onto this record. Trust me. You know, certainly came into my spirit, or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
Many times when I was singing And all these songs, all the songs on this record and the title and everything were all there before Fletch died.
Right.
And Martin and I even began the process a little bit. I was out in Santa Barbara, and we'd started sort of, it was beyond demoing, but, he was yet to come in and listen to what we've been doing and kind of like do his usual thing of, well, this is going too far out, and this is it, and you need to. This is a good song, but you've ruined it, and all that kind of stuff, which was really missed.
Yeah.
And then we went, and then all the it's all right. We're okay. Don't worry. We did a first time we went to Los Angeles from Martin's to meet up with Anton Corbin, and to do photographs. That's the first time as well for Anton.
Right.
We've been in a place where suddenly there's just two of us, and so okay, well, what do we do? Where's the other part? You know, and then lots of other things. To made a video and doing interviews. For me, it's lots of like simpler things. It was just being in a hotel and Fletch usually down the hall somewhere, or smell his cigarettes and get angry about that, and tell him off like, I got to sing today, and you smoke it up, man. Like, enjoy yourself. I miss real things about him already that I can't really describe. Going on stage, even we've done a few performances that were just a few songs in Europe, and we did a couple of radio things that we performed like 5 songs in front of an audience, and Fletch was always on my left, he's always on my shoulder over, so that I feel that, and he had a very strong presence on stage, even though he didn't do much. You knew he was there, that's for sure. So I've put Christian kind of there, like, because I needed some kind of power, energy that was. But there was a few times when I would look over my shoulder, or I don't know, I felt like something like that. So, look, that's gonna, over the course of this next year and a half, when we're doing shows, and if you ask me 100 shows in from now, like, what am I feeling? It would be like, I want to go home now. But right now, it's feels exciting, and at the same time, it's going to be different. But it's always been different with Depeche Mode.
Right. Well, I think your fans are eager to welcome you back to the stage and support you and kind of share the love that you have for Fletch.
We were experiencing that already. We've had a couple of times we've done these little things. It's like everybody needs it. And so there's hardcore fans. I think they're very happy that we have continued, and that we may finish this record, and that we're doing this again. And we always take it as far as that. Mine we always say together as well, we'll do this, we're making this record, we're going on this tour. Who knows what's going to happen after that? Hence, and the title Memento Mori really kind of like is good with that as well. It's also, I guess, Carpe Diem could be right next to that as well. Like, you gotta, this is it, man. You got this.
Do it while you can get out there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to speak with WFMU. It was a real pleasure. Thank you for your support and listening,
man.
Glad to be here.
I'm stoked that you guys came. So,
thanks for having us. It's really great.
All right, say hi to all the team.
Yes, we certainly will.